Have you ever noticed something strange after a losing trade? You don't just regret the mistake, you recognize it. Almost immediately, a thought appears. I knew I shouldn't have done that. You knew you shouldn't have moved the stop loss. You knew you shouldn't have entered late. You knew you were chasing the market. You knew the setup didn't meet your rules. And yet, you did it anyway. That's what makes repeating trading mistakes so frustrating. The problem isn't a lack of knowledge. In many cases, you already know the right decision before you make the wrong one. So why does it keep happening? Most explanations stop at a familiar answer: lack of discipline. But that answer barely scratches the surface. If knowledge automatically produced better decisions, every experienced trader would be consistently profitable. Knowledge and behavior are two very different systems. The deeper question isn't, why do you make mistakes? It's, why does your brain keep selecting the same behavior even after it has already proven to be costly? The answer has less to do with trading and much more to do with how the human mind learns. We like to imagine that experience is our greatest teacher, but experience doesn't teach us everything. It teaches us what our brain pays attention to, and that's where the hidden pattern begins. Imagine touching a hot stove. You only need to do it once. The pain is immediate. Your brain quickly connects cause and effect. Trading doesn't work that way. Sometimes you break your rules and make money. Sometimes you follow every rule perfectly and lose. From your brain's perspective, those mixed outcomes create confusion. Instead of learning, following my process is good, it starts learning something much more dangerous. Maybe the rule isn't always necessary. This is one of the biggest differences between trading and almost every skill humans evolved to master. For most of history, feedback was immediate. Touch fire, get burned. Eat spoiled food, get sick. Ignore danger, face consequences. The brain became exceptionally good at learning from clear, immediate feedback. Markets rarely provide that luxury. A bad decision today can produce a profitable trade. A brilliant decision can still lose money. The connection between decision quality and outcome becomes blurred. That uncertainty quietly rewires how we learn. Think about a poker player. A beginner often believes winning a hand means they played well. An experienced player knows something different. You can make the mathematically correct decision and still lose the hand. Likewise, you can make a terrible decision and still walk away with the chips. Professional poker players don't judge themselves by individual outcomes because they understand something most traders struggle to accept. A single result is noisy. Only patterns reveal the truth. Trading operates under the same principle. Yet our brains instinctively evaluate every trade as if it were a final exam instead of one question in a 1,000-question test. That creates what I call the outcome echo. The outcome echo is the tendency to let today's result rewrite yesterday's decision. If a reckless trade makes money, the brain whispers, maybe that wasn't such a bad idea. If a disciplined trade loses, maybe my rules are holding me back. Little by little, your decision-making system stops following evidence and starts following recent outcomes. The dangerous part is that this happens quietly. No alarm goes off, no dramatic emotional breakdown is required. It happens through tiny adjustments. I'll just enter a little earlier this time. I'll give this trade a bit more room. This setup is close enough. Each change feels insignificant, but together they begin pulling you away from the very process you originally trusted. And because each decision feels reasonable in the moment, you rarely notice the pattern forming. That's why repeating mistakes doesn't usually feel like repeating mistakes. It feels like making small exceptions. And small exceptions have an extraordinary ability to disguise themselves as intelligent decisions. Which raises a much bigger question. If your brain isn't actually trying to sabotage your trading, why does it keep rewarding behaviors that slowly make your performance worse? The answer lies in a learning system that helped humans survive for thousands of years. Your brain isn't designed to maximize long-term performance. It's designed to maximize the chance of surviving the next moment. That distinction changes everything. Imagine our ancestors crossing an open field. They hear a sound in the bushes. They have two choices: ignore it or assume it's dangerous. If they overreact and run away, they lose a little energy. If they underreact and it's actually a predator, they may lose their life. Evolution consistently rewarded the safer mistake. Over thousands of generations, our brains became incredibly sensitive to immediate consequences and immediate rewards. Trading quietly exploits that ancient wiring. Because every time you close a losing trade early, move a stop loss, skip a setup after 2 losses, or increase your position after a big win, something happens that has nothing to do with profit. You experience relief. And relief is one of the strongest teachers the human brain knows. Notice the sequence. You feel uncomfortable. You change your plan. The discomfort immediately decreases. Your brain records that as a successful solution. It doesn't ask whether the decision improved your long-term expectancy. It only notices that the unpleasant feeling disappeared. That's why the same mistake returns. Not because it made you money, because it made you feel better. Those are two completely different rewards. This creates another mental model I call the relief loop. The relief loop has 4 simple steps: pressure, reaction, relief, reinforcement. A trade starts moving against you. Pressure rises. You move your stop loss. The anxiety drops. Your brain says, "Remember this, we escaped." Whether the trade eventually wins or loses becomes almost secondary. The emotional escape has already been rewarded. This is why many trading mistakes become habits long before they become obvious financial problems. The brain keeps collecting emotional victories while the account quietly collects financial losses. Think about someone learning to play the piano. Every incorrect finger movement produces immediate feedback. The note sounds wrong. The teacher corrects it. The brain quickly adjusts. Now imagine if every wrong note randomly sounded beautiful half the time. Learning would become chaotic. You'd never know which movements deserved repeating. That's exactly what markets often do. They disguise bad decisions with good outcomes and punish good decisions with bad outcomes. The market isn't trying to confuse you. It's simply indifferent. Prices don't reward effort. They don't reward intelligence. They don't reward preparation. They respond to millions of participants making decisions under uncertainty. Sometimes your decision aligns with that uncertainty. Sometimes it doesn't. Recognizing this leads to another overlooked reason traders repeat mistakes. Most people remember outcomes more vividly than decisions. But every trade gives you another opportunity to answer a much deeper question. Am I training my brain to chase outcomes or to make better decisions? The answer to that question won't just determine your next trade. Over time, it will determine the trader you become.